I walked into the pantry the other day for something, and by the time I got there, I genuinely could not remember what I even came for in the first place. I stood there for a second, hand on the door, my mind just completely blank. And what I noticed once I actually started paying attention was that my breathing had gone shallow and fast without me meaning to. Just quick little breaths up in my chest. And I thought, is my brain actually foggy right now, or did I just breathe myself into this?
Welcome to Chronic Illness Moms. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon while raising neurodivergent kids, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have lived with autoimmune disease and flare-ups that made everyday life feel harder than it should. After years of pushing through and burning out, I learned how much stress, poor sleep, and nervous system overload were driving my symptoms. Everything changed when I started building small, realistic habits that actually supported my body instead of fighting it. In this podcast, you'll learn simple habits that help you to feel better. So pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time.
I know how discouraging it feels to try really hard to improve your health, to do the research, make changes, and still feel like your body is just not responding the way you would want it to. To look at yourself and think, this is not me. This is not who I am. I don't want to feel this way. I'm young. I don't want to spend the rest of my life feeling like this. That feeling is real, and it is not a sign that you are broken or that nothing is ever going to work again. It is a sign that you need an approach that is actually built for the body you have, for the lifestyle you have. That's what my Feel Better coaching call is. It's 1 hour. We find one or two things that are working against your body right now and build you one clear next step, something that's doable even on the hard days. You can book at ashleybraden.com/coaching. That is ashleybraden.com/coaching. Okay, tell me, have you had one of those pantry moments yourself? It's not the sleepy kind of tired, but just totally mental kind, where you're standing in the middle of a completely normal task and your brain just kind of feels like it goes offline for a second. You lose your train of thought mid-sentence. You read the same paragraph 3 times and you still don't recall what it said. You walk into a room, you have a clear purpose, and then maybe you were even saying a second ago, oh, I'm going to go get whatever. I'm going to get this thing. And then by the time you get there, you stand there with no idea why you went there in the first place. For a long time, I would just say, oh, this must be poor sleep or mom brain or just chronic symptoms again. And I just kind of figured, well, this might be my brain now. Just this side effect of the life that I'm living. And while those things are real and they do matter, and I am certainly not taking them off the table as potential causes or factors into this, there's a piece of this that I had not connected until I started digging more into the research talking about how we breathe. And I mentioned this in the last episode. It stopped me in my tracks a little bit because it turns out that the way that you are breathing in an exact moment, whether that's fast and shallow up in your chest, that if you are breathing that way, it can actually be part of what is making your brain feel foggy. Right then and there. Not eventually, not over weeks and weeks, not because, something happened last week, but right then in that moment while it is happening. That kind of really helped me to reframe how I think about my own moments of brain fog. Because it might mean that some of those blank moments aren't just my brain being broken or another symptom that I have to accept, but it could be my body in that exact second is running on less than it needs because of the way that I am breathing in that moment without me ever really intentionally deciding how I'm going to breathe. Okay, here's the part that took me a little bit to wrap my head around. So I'm going to try to explain it in a way that helped me to understand it because whenever I first read it, I had to reread it a few times. When you breathe, you are not just taking in oxygen, you are also breathing out carbon dioxide. I think most of us know that. And carbon dioxide it's not just waste that your body is getting rid of, it actually does a job on its way out. So it acts kind of like a signal to keep the blood vessels that are feeding your brain relaxed and open. So think about it like a water hose with the water pressure turned on just right, nice and steady. When you are breathing fast and shallow up in your chest instead of down in your diaphragm, or down in your belly, which really, this tends to happen. A lot of us just do it habitually without realizing it. Also, if we're feeling stressed or rushed or just overwhelmed, when you're breathing that way, that really fast, shallow breathing in your chest, you are breathing out more carbon dioxide than your body needs to in that moment. And so that signal that was keeping your blood vessels open, it drops down. And when it drops, the blood vessels that are supplying your brain kind of shrink a little bit. They narrow a little bit. Think about it this way. We talked about the water hose. It would be kind of like if someone were to step on the hose, and water is still getting through, but not as much, not that full pressure that you were really liking your brain needed before. So it's kind of like that. Less blood is getting through, which means less oxygen is getting to your brain right in that moment. And your brain, more than almost any organ in your body, needs a steady, generous supply of oxygen to do its job well, to hold on to a thought, to find the word you're looking for, to remember why you walked into a room. And I think what got me as I was reading into this is how fast this can happen. This is not something that's a slow buildup over weeks and weeks. It can be happening in real time, which means that the fog that hits you in the middle of a hard moment, it could genuinely be tied to how are you breathing during that exact moment. So breathing fast and shallow can actually narrow the flow of blood to your brain right when you need it most. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is this is not just a theory. There's actually research that has measured it, like happening in real time during stressful mental tasks. So like I said, there's research where they had people do mental math, just really stressful on the spot mental math with someone watching them while they were doing it without anyone telling them to change the way they were breathing. They started to breathe faster and shallower, which makes sense because they were probably under stress, just from the stress of the task. And when researchers measured the blood flow that was getting to their brain during that, it dropped. And again, this was not because anything was wrong with them. It was just because that is what that really stress-driven, fast, shallow breathing, that's the response that your body has on its own without you choosing to do it. So if you're a mom who's managing your house and chronic symptoms and not feeling your best and a house full of sensory needs and just feeling like there are never quite enough hours in the day for everything you need to get done, you are basically doing mental math all day long. It's just a different kind. Constant problem solving, constant tracking of who needs what and what's due and what did I forget yesterday or what am I afraid I'm going to forget tomorrow? That constant low-grade stress that is running in the background all day long, even on the days that you feel like are fairly calm, which means that this breathing pattern most likely is not some kind of rare occurrence that's only going to show up during like a really scary appointment or a big moment. It might be going on through a huge chunk of your actual day, whether you realize it or not. I think about this now whenever I'm catching myself, mid-conversation, forgetting what I'm saying, walking into a room, and instead of spiraling and thinking, oh my goodness, what's wrong? What do I need to adjust? I just try to notice my breath and let it drop down into my diaphragm. Give myself let's take a few seconds to take a couple of really deep breaths down into my diaphragm. And again, this isn't going to fix everything, but it's given me something that I can actually do in the moment instead of just feeling frustrated and moving on. So your brain is not broken when you feel like you're having the brain fog under stress. It's actually just a really normal response because your brain is most likely running on less blood flow because of the way you were breathing through that moment. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about why, kind of tying it back to the last episode for a second, because I do think that this matters. Remember, I had mentioned that there was a study that found that most people who are dealing with ongoing fatigue are also breathing with their chest. They're not doing the diaphragmatic breathing. The same research also found that when these people are having trouble concentrating or like a really brain fog kind of feeling, one of the signs or symptoms that showed up with that was exhaustion. So in these same people at the same time, your energy crashes and your brain fog, they can often hit together for a reason. They could be coming from the exact same root, which is that really fast, shallow chest breathing that your body has just learned to default to, especially if you're in just a very stressful, busy season. And of course, as I've said before, chronic symptoms, inflammation, poor sleep, all of that plays a role in brain fog too. And I am absolutely not saying that this is the only piece of the puzzle, but it is a real measurable piece, and it's one that you actually have access to deal with today. Kind of like last episode. It feels kind of like a little bit of a gift in a season where so much of this can feel a little bit out of your hands, out of your control. This all feels so overwhelming. Where do I even get started? What do I do? You can't control if you have a diagnosis. You can't control a flare a lot of times, but you can, in this exact moment, control the way you are breathing. And the goal here is to just give you back a little bit of power to say, what can I do to help myself feel better? So if you are noticing that brain fog and fatigue are showing up together for you, I want you to get curious and start seeing, do I notice a pattern? Am I noticing that they're coming around the same time, and it could be the way that I'm breathing? Am I noticing whenever I have these feelings, am I breathing into my chest? It might not even be fast, but it might just be that shallow chest breathing instead of breathing down into your diaphragm. So the next time you notice that really foggy, can't think straight feeling, before you reach for caffeine or try to push through, just pause for 3 slow breaths. Breathe in through your nose, down low into your belly, and then breathe out through your nose too, just a little slower than you breathed in. So I do want to say nasal breathing, so breathing in through your nose, it does matter here because there's been research using brain scans that have shown more activity in memory and focus that are related to areas of the brain whenever people breathe slowly through their nose compared to that quick open mouth breathing. So I just want you to think about it. You're standing in the pantry, your mind is blank, that word that's right on the tip of your tongue that's refusing to show up. And instead of standing there and getting frustrated with yourself or calling out to your husband to ask, hey, do you remember what I came in here for? Which I've done before. Close your mouth and for 3 breaths, breathe in through your nose, down into your belly, out through your nose, a little slower. You're not going to solve the whole day, of course, or fix your brain fog forever, but you are giving yourself and your brain 3 breaths worth of a chance to try to catch back up and giving your body what it needs. Okay, so really quick, before I give you kind of the thing I would love for you to work on and practice this week, I want to give you a little bit of a recap. Okay, so fast, shallow chest breathing, it does change how much carbon dioxide you breathe off, and that will actually narrow the blood flow that is reaching your brain in the moment that it's happening. This, of course, has been measured during stressful mental tasks, and it's the exact kind of moments that moms are dealing with all day without ever realizing it. So brain fog and fatigue, they also tend to hit together because they can be often rooted in the same problem, which is the breathing pattern that you are using that's going on through your entire day. So the next time that your brain feels foggy, whether you're standing in the pantry or staring at your kids' homework or losing your train of thought mid-sentence at dinner, take 3 slow breaths in through your nose, down into your abdomen before you do anything else. Not instead of resting when you need to, not instead of managing your symptoms the way that you already do. This is just 3 breaths right in that moment before you push through or beat yourself up about it. And then come tell me in the free Facebook community how it felt. I will have that linked down in the show notes below if you want to come join us if you're not already part of the group. And if brain fog and fatigue have been running your life for a while now and you are tired of feeling like you are losing pieces of your day or yourself and you want someone to sit down with you and actually map out where you should start, that is exactly what my Feel Better coaching calls are for. You can learn more at ashleybraden.com/coaching, or I will have the link down in the show notes below. All right, friend, just a reminder, your brain and your body, they are not failing you. It might just be that you've been practicing a breathing pattern that is working against both of them. Okay, next episode, we are finishing this series out by talking about how this breathing pattern can be getting in the way of your sleep without you ever connecting the two, and why fixing that might matter more than a new nighttime or wind down routine. I will see you back then. Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins. Even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.